In the third episode of Brad Lackey, The Big Interview, Brad talks about the crazy European fans, the tracks he loved most, and what it really took to become a world champion.
And beat Roger and everybody. And, that's when the real guys were in the class. This is against Heike, Roger, Adolf, Aki, Banked, all the guys. I think there's a lot of guys that are fast, always, and there's a lot of guys with talent. Without the desire, you're going to get nowhere. And so they reach over the, there's no fence, but, the ropes, and break his arm with a big stick. So Graham is out, broken arm to the hospital. And so I had fastest time because I wasn't a threat, and they gave me the fastest time. And Graham had, third or fourth fastest time. They give him 15th. So when he gets to the line, he's in the mud hole, and he's got no shot at a good start. So I pull up to the line, and I take the best spot. And then when Graham comes out, I just back my bike out of there and go ahead, take that spot. I've changed my mind. I think I want to go over there to the mud hole. And they had a fit.
Talking to Marty Smith, he said, yeah, well, I had to go to Europe,
Right.
and and I hated it, blah blah. And so yeah, it's never going to quite work out as well. Going back to 60,000 people at a racetrack not wanting you to win and all that kind of stuff. Were there moments when you had pretty bad stuff? People trying to do stuff to stop you winning races.
Yeah. For example, okay, that was it. 79. Graham was going to win the championship against the Belgians, and he and I was breaking down, so I was like back in fourth place. So when they do the timing at these events, they cheat and let their guys get the best starting spots. They're ruthless that way. And so I had fastest time because I wasn't a threat, and they gave me the fastest time. And Graham had third or fourth fastest time. They give him 15th. So when he gets to the line, he's in the mud hole, and he's got no shot at a good start. So I pull up to the line, and I take the best spot. And then when Graham comes out, I just back my bike out of there and go ahead, take that spot. I've changed my mind. I think I want to go over there to the mud hole. And they had a fit. They're jumping up and down, throwing flags, raising hell, people screaming in 5 languages. And I go, I changed my mind. There's no rule that I can't do that. So Graham gets a spot. He does great. He wins the world championship that year. And then in 82, when we came back, it's the same track. And of course, I'm in the hunt, and I get 15th. And Graham gets a good spot. And I said, all right, I'm just going to start in the back because I learned my lesson, and I'll just make my way up there. So if you get a good start and Romans is behind you, just kind of keep him in check. Don't let him get out in front of you and disappear, all right? Yeah, okay. So Graham is, not touching him, not doing anything, just not making it easy for him to pass. And so they reach over there's no fence, but, the ropes, and break his arm with a big stick. So Graham is out, broken arm to the hospital. And that was just a lesson right there that, that's what can happen, and I already knew it. So I had to stay away from Vromans and make it look like he was winning the race for the whole time so the people would leave me alone, so they wouldn't do something like that. They're already throwing sand in your face and crap like that, So I let him lead the whole race until 5 laps from the end. I tell my guys, give me a signal because I know how much time I can make on him. So 5 laps to go, I'm 25 seconds behind him. So I catch him in 5 laps, pass him with a half a lap to go, and win the race. And they didn't see that coming, so they didn't have enough boards out there to give him the information. It's 2.5 miles around. They got one guy at the mechanics area, so he didn't really know what was going on. And so then, after winning the first race and gaining points on him, and the plan worked, which was unbelievable that I could make up that much time. I tell my guys, I go, okay, well, what's the plan for Moto 2? They go, fuck, we never made no plan. We didn't think that was going to work. So going into the second race, but what happened is I won over all the spectators from coming from that far back and doing that. They said, hey, you deserve to win, and nobody touched me. So it was amazing.
And which race is this?
This was 82 in Luxembourg, the last race for the championship.
Yeah, that's a cool story. But did you ever get taken out by spectators? I mean, did anybody ever really go into that?
No, no, not really. Not like Graham, not like a broken bone or something, you know. A lot of people in the way and throwing stuff in your face and changing the track so you gotta go to a shit part instead of a good part, you know. They got all kinds of tricks over there. Throwing bottles out of my kids in the pits, you know, stuff that's just nasty, you know.
Yeah, that's not good. So, if what was the last year in Europe was when you won the championship?
Yeah, I retired number one. I rode one race, Carlsbad, that year, '83, with the number one plate, just to, you know, have one race with some pictures, so with the number one plate on the
That was when
bike.
you had the ATK and the
Yamaha. Yeah.
which I have a lot of pictures of, by the way, and I'll send you some pictures.
Oh, cool, because I don't have very many. I just got a
actually
couple.
I have a couple of cool ones. I'll show you because I posted a couple the other day, but I'll send you some pics anyway. So that was kind of that was the farewell tour one time at Carlsbad.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of to let the fans see you with the
Yeah,
number one
yeah,
plate.
and you know, I thought I could do okay. I mean, I was on a stock production bike, but you know, I got fourth or fifth. You know, I almost beat Carl Quist one moto, and he was world champ that year, and he was on a factory bike. So you know, it was okay showing for what I had.
Yeah, very good showing. Well, um, as I mentioned earlier, Marty Smith said, you know, a factory bike's never going to make you a factory rider, but without a factory bike, you're never going to be a champion. How much better were most of your factory bikes than production bikes? I mean, were they really a lot better? Everybody seems to think they're just like so much better, you know.
Well, you know, it depends on what you do to it yourself too. You know, a lot of them come bad or really good. Like I said, you asked that question about the best factory bikes, those years that Honda had those and that Kawasaki. But, you know, Husky days, those bikes are, you know, that's a production bike basically, but it's not a 360, it's a 390. And, you know, it's got some good shocks on it, and that's it, you know. There wasn't nothing to a factory Husky. It was the same frame, it was the same motor other than some porting and stuff like that. And the Kawasaki that I won the USA Championship on in '72 was completely far superior to anything. Anybody could have rode that bike and won the championship. You know, it was just, like I said, the biggest bikes were 360s. It was a 390, I mean a 490, and it was light and it handled, and it was just a great grunt motor, you know, perfect for 500 stuff, especially for my style. And like I said, that was just, I could sit on the starting line and let the guys go, and then go to the engineers, go, should I go yet? Should I go? And then I could still hold shot, you know? It was like just miles ahead. So occasionally you get one of those, and most of the time you get one of those. So, you know, there's differences.
What year was the Kawasaki? That was an
72.
An 80.
Huh?
An 82.
72.
72.
Yeah.
Oh, this Kawasaki.
Yeah, that one.
The original Kawasaki.
Yeah.
I thought you were pointing
Yeah.
to 82. But that thing didn't have the world's best handling, suspension, all that kind of stuff. Or was it back in its time pretty good?
Oh yeah, it was
As good
just as good as anything else. Yeah.
Did you have much input into where that went development wise? Or?
You know, the motors came from Japan all done, and they built the chassis at C&J Frames down there in LA, and so all that part was good. So really all I had to do was play with shocks and forks, you know.
Yeah. And that was something that you felt you were good at?
Yeah, you know, I from day one, you know, like I said, I feel the bike really good. You know, I can come in and say there's a bolt loose, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes. And you know, a lot of people, they try to, you know, when they're testing, they try to trick you. Okay, we changed all this and nothing changed. And, okay, how's the lap times? Is it better? You know, no, it's exactly the same. You didn't do anything. Oh, you caught on, you know.
So, was that something, somebody else mentioned that too, was there a game with engineers when you were developing bikes to kind of, you know, try and trick you off in the right
Yeah,
direction?
I think so, because you know, a lot of guys can't feel a lot of stuff, and they come in and just say stuff because they're supposed to say something. They don't know what to say or what the changes have been made, you know. So I'm sure there's been lots of times where they claim they've done, this is a complete different set of shocks, or this is a complete cylinder change, you know, and you ride it and, you know, it's either big difference or no difference. And, you know, if you're a type of rider that can't feel little small things, you're not going to notice that. But a rider that can really feel everything, then, that's what they want. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want on the team, to develop something.
Yeah. Was the let me turn that around. There were a lot of riders were good. There were a lot of good riders. A lot of riders that were good that didn't quite make it, never quite kind of reached that pinnacle. And talking to DaCosta the other day, he said most of the time when a good rider doesn't make it, it's not because he can't ride fast, but because he can't accept that he's doing something wrong. And he won't accept that, he's not as good as he thinks he is. How important is it to kind of see your faults and correct them? And was that something you did when you were riding? You accepted, I'm not doing this well enough here, so I've got to go and change it and do it differently?
Well, it's sometimes you're not going to see it. You need people around you to see it, For example, there's a section with a bunch of bumps and you're going through it terribly slow and the other guy's going terribly fast. You don't know that because you're by yourself, unless the guy passed you there.
Yes.
And, you get your team to go, okay, listen, you're not going good there. You're not doing this right. Here's what you need to do. So you have teams for certain things like that help you and then point it out to you. And then it's up to you to change it and fix it. And if you're blatantly doing something, and like, for example, say you weren't in shape, you're getting tired at the end of every moto and guys are passing you, I think you kind of know that and you have to fix that. But, I think there's a lot of guys that are fast, always, and there's a lot of guys with talent. Without the desire, you're going to get nowhere. You got to have those three things. If you got two of them, you're going to win races and you're going to look cool and you're going to get some trophies. But if you don't have desire to go get a goal set and go after it, you're not going to make it.
And how does desire manifest itself? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, that's different for everybody. Who knows that answer to that one? But it's in your DNA. It's in your upbringing. It's in what you were exposed to. The chances that you had versus the things that were bad.
Well, what do you think was the thing that for 10 years that got you through to winning the title on that Suzuki behind you? What one thing do you think was different to other guys?
Well, for Americans, I was the only guy that wanted to. That was simple. Nobody else over here cared about that. But for, going against the Europeans that had won it forever and, they always expected to win. And I think, you got to get a taste of winning. So, you got to win your first GP to know that you can win a GP. And, I won the first moto actually in Luxembourg in 74 or 5 on a Husky and beat Roger and everybody. And, that's when the real guys were in the class. This is against Heike, Roger, Adolf, Aki, Banked, all the guys. And that helped me a lot, knowing that, okay, I can do it. I'm in good enough shape. My bike's good enough. And then you just move on to make more of those things happen, And if you figure out what cost you a race, which usually at that time, like I said, was breaking down or problems with the bike, if you're falling off a bunch, that's something you got to work on. But, I didn't have that problem. And I think it was just getting the first win under the belt and knowing it can happen and then putting your head down and doing everything every year, making a great plan and trying to stick to it and figure out what it takes mentally and physically to win that goal. And that's what you have to do.
Is there one guy that influenced you more than any, is in any way, or if you could have been one other guy, is there one guy that you most looked up to?
Well, Roger helped me a ton in Europe. We lived with him for a while, and I trained with him. So of course, Roger's one of my heroes for a lot of reasons. And but he worked hard to win his races, and to he was developing that Suzuki all that time, and it wasn't great a lot of years. And he put his head down and did whatever it took to win GPs and win world championships. So that you gotta give him a ton of respect for that. But in '71, when I was over there riding the 250 GPs for CZ, I got to watch Joel, and I'd break down quite a bit, and then I get to watch the race, you know. So, and watching him, he's so fluid, so natural, and so easy. You know, you want to be him because he's not putting any effort in. He's just having fun, and that's what every guy wants. You don't have to work hard to win a race. You want to cruise around, have fun, drink a beer halfway through the race, and beat everybody. And that's, I mean, when you see that, you just kind of go, "Who made this guy?" You know.
So he was kind of the hero at the time then.
Oh, of course he was, you know. The youngest guy at the time to win the championship, and then 5 championships. You know, he had the record for a long time, you know, long time before, you know. And then Roger and other Belgians got 5, and then that crazy Everett, you know, he got 10. And now they're knocking on the door at 10 again, you know. So
Yeah. Would it, if you were, you know, 40 years younger or whatever, and now you were starting this whole thing over again, would you have done it any differently?
no, you asked me about those couple of regrets. I would have done those things differently, but no, everything else. I mean, I don't see how I could have expedited anything, you know, other than fixing those couple mistakes, and you know, everything else has worked out good. I'm still walking and talking, and Lori and I are having a great time. Retired and got a nice little bike collection, and still get to go to races if I want to, and watch it on TV, and have a great time, and see Roger and all the guys now and then. It's perfect.
But it's a lot different today than it was back when, you know, modern motocross is different to when you were doing it. Everything has changed pretty much. I mean, the bikes it's rarely down to a bike difference anymore. It's a lot more rider intensive maybe, and in some ways closer. But do you think, having watched it on TV, do you think it's changed for the better, or is it, you go from your point of view?
I think the organization in the GPs is ridiculous the way they do things, but you know, I'm not there, and I just watch it on TV and listen to some, you know, chatter about it. But I did go to the Motocross of Nations in 2000 or something in Belgium and Namur, and you used to sit up in these giant Roman stands, cement marble things, and the start was right there, and you'd watch the start and go around, and they'd jump into the woods, and it's like Golden Gate Park, you know, it's a national park. They'd go through the park, and then they'd jump back out of the park, back up into the Citadel. And then when we went there, you know, I was telling everybody how neat it was, and we can watch the start and all that. And I get there, and they got 8 billion tents blocking the whole thing. You can't see anything. You can't see the start. You can't see the riders. You can't see Jack. And I was just going, what are they thinking? You know, this is the only place you can really see the start and the riders, and now they got all these tents for these yahoos standing around in them, you know, and blocking everything. So I was just going, they're missing the whole point of spectators being at the race. And you know, it's television now, so they get the money there, and that's what they cater to. And they, you know, they're putting on these races in these faraway places. I don't know how they can even afford to get anybody there, and they don't pay the riders one dime for start money or anything. You know, it's just not like it was. You know.
And the tracks are pretty much cookie cutter. They all look kind of the same.
Well, there's the ones that are man-made but then, you know, there's still some natural good tracks out there in the GPs, but yeah, they're just making, you know, crap up in infields of race car places and stuff like that, and that's just not real motocross. If they want to have stadium races, they should have stadium races.
What were your favorite racetracks back in the day?
Well, of course, the ones I won, you know. But there's a reason, you know, because you like the track.
Yeah.
Of course, Luxembourg, I had some bad luck there, lost the championship there and got hurt there once, but I won my first GP there. I won the world championship there. I love Sittendorf in Austria. It's just a grass I like grass tracks, basically. Luxembourg's a grass track. Sittendorf, really rough, uphills, downhills, out in the pasture. It's only used one time a year, and I won there quite a few times. Farley Castle, grass track. I won there three times at least, I think. And, you know, grass tracks are my favorite.
Well, which was your least favorite? Which one?
Oh,
why?
I hated hard pack, you know, like Carlsbad, my least favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
though you're a California kid. It was,
Yeah, but I didn't live down there. I lived up here, and it's different. So yeah, and then when I'd go to Italy, you know, it was always hard like that, and I wasn't good on hard pack, and I didn't really have enough testing to get tires right and stuff, where if you got perfect traction or mud or grass, you can use variety of tires, that work. But on hard pack, you got to have only one tire that will make it work, and you got to know that, and you got to figure it out, and you know, go to the camp and see who's running what. That's kind of strange for that deal. But yeah, I just don't like hard ground.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I really appreciate it. I wish we
Sure.
could just drag all these bikes outside and shoot a picture of every single one of them, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
How many bikes do you have?
Actually, I just counted like yesterday or the day before. I have a few more than 30.
A lot of bikes.
Yeah.
And they're all bikes that you've owned or raced at some point?
No, not all of them. Some of them. I mean, that's hard to get those bikes. I didn't keep a lot. I kept the old Kawasaki and the Husky. Those are from the time when I was racing them, and the American Eagle. My brother raced one of those, but I never did, a twin pipe Suzuki, so that's just a bike. And a Dickman BSA, I rode a BSA, and I have that BSA, kind of a replica of it. And the CZs, that one right there, yeah, I won the ARMA championship on that one with the aluminum tank there. And the other CZs, I rode those models, the side pipers, but I didn't race a twin pipe. I was on Montesas at that time before I got to CZ. So some of them are, some of them aren't.
And you've pretty much quit racing. You don't race any ARMA race or anything anymore?
No, Lori retired me a few years back.
Do you miss racing?
No, not really, because it's a lot of work when you're old, I mean, I'm 66 and put on the gear, bending over, hitting bumps, and when you're, my age, you don't have to fall off to get hurt, and if you do fall off, you're going to get hurt. So if you just, without even, making a big fast move where you can break something up, throw something out of whack, it's just not worth it, boy. It's a long time recovery time nowadays. I'd like to go watch old guys race and hope they don't fall off.
Well, you and I are the same age, so I know where you're coming from. All right, well, thanks a lot, Brady.
Yeah, good luck with the
Really
book, and
appreciate it.
hope
Yeah,
everything works
well,
good.
it's,
Say hi to all my buddies if you see any more.
Please check out my 480-page coffee table book, Motocross, The Golden Era.